they're coming, they're eating.
Okay.
Okay. You ready? All right. Good evening and welcome to the Eureka Springs City and Advertising Promotion Commission meeting for April 26, 2023 at 6 p.m. And let's do roll call. Mark Hicks.
Here.
Steve Holyfield.
Here.
David Avanzino.
Here.
Chris Jones.
Here.
And Chris Clifton is present. Okay. Only comments I had is I've just noticed there's becoming more and more unity. We keep talking about unity in the town and in marketing and stuff, and it's exciting. Really, really happy that everyone is pulling together and we're working together. And just exciting times, and looking forward to more of the same. So next is approval of minutes. We have minutes for February 8th? No. So we've got two sets we're going to have to talk to Municipal League about, but February 22nd's minutes.
We also have the ones back of the roll is January 11th, looks like.
Well, those are the two that, January 11th, February 8th, those are the two that we don't have a quorum of members from, that we had talked about having Municipal League look at.
No, we do have February 8th, right?
Okay.
And
So
we
that
can
would-
do the February 8th and February 22nd.
1, 2, 3, 4, yes, I'm sorry. Okay, February 8th and February 22nd. Okay, thank
I
you.
move we accept the minutes as presented for our meeting on February 8th, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion from Steve Holyfield to approve the minutes from February 8th and a second from David Avanzino. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Minutes.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from our meeting for February 22nd, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion from Steve Holyfield for the minutes for February.
Hold. Can we do that? No,
What?
Mark Hicks wasn't there.
Steve,
me.
Chris, me, David. Yeah, we can. We'll have
Oh, we
4.
can? Okay.
I'll have to
Sorry.
vote. I have a motion from Steve Holyfield for minutes from February 22nd and a second from David Avanzino. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to note on there that Chris Jones's name was listed twice, present.
Yes.
You were here twice, Chris.
She's more effective than everyone else.
I don't think we've approved the January 11th meeting.
Yeah, we don't.
Two meetings, two special meetings, those need to be approved.
The problem is we don't have a quorum of who was there, so
Gotcha.
we're going to ask Municipal League, or ask the clerk to ask. Okay. Approval of financials. Scott?
First of all, let me say thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. First of all, let me say thank you, and hopefully, I'm pretty certain that this will be the last time we're looking at paper. We'll be on the iPads next meeting. So this will be the last time we're having to shuffle paper. On our summary sheet that I provide to the commission, I'll go through that with you. That's listed as A-1. At the cash balance at March 31st, we had $1,955,659.14 in the bank. If you look at your Section A, which is actual versus budget for March 2023, our actual collections for the month of March, and these are actual March collections, was $80,843, and we budgeted $55,000, so that's up 47% or $25,847. Under lodging, the actual collections for March was $77,267. Our budget was $45,000. That's up 71% or $32,267. Our total collections for March was $158,110 on a budget for March of $100,000, which is 58% up or $58,110. Looking at January through March 2023, so far we've collected $405,487. Our budget for that same time period was $350,000, which is a 16% increase over budget of $55,487. Under Section B, where we compare March of 2023 to March of 2022 on actual sales tax collections, if you look at food and beverage, the March 2023 was $80,843. March of last year was $53,092, which is a 52% increase in collections or $27,751. Under lodging for 2023 March, $77,267. March of last year was $45,676, or that's a 69% increase, which is $31,591. Total collections for March of 2023, again, $158,110. For March of 2022, total collections were $98,768. That is a 60% increase comparing Marches. That's a $59,342 increase. The last line item comparing January through March of 2023, of course, we've collected $405,487. January and February, March of 2022, we had collected $337,468, which is an increase of $68,019 or 20%. I'd like to point out also that I went back and looked for the past 10 years of records, and March of 2023 was the largest sales tax remittance for the city of Eureka Springs. Those are the numbers. If you go to sheet A-3, shows your collections broken down by category. The restaurant, again, leads at 87% of the total collections moving down to lodging. Interesting, I saw that the B&B collections, the hotel motel, were all fairly even. The B&B was at 26% of collections, the hotel at 30%, the motel at 24%. Something I noticed interesting also was the total food collected, sales tax for food of $80,847 represented 51% of the amount total collected. And so the lodging and the food are pretty much at 50% overall. So that's the first time I've seen that happen. And on our delinquent collections.
Hey, Scott?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Under, on A3, item number 5, under food, what is other food?
That's catered, confectionery, sweet shops, convenience store sales.
Okay. And then under lodging, is there a reason under item 6 that we have everything broken out, B&B, hotel, motel, Airbnb, cabin, campgrounds, and then lodging? Is there a reason why there's a separate lodging?
David, I think that's because that's the way the ordinance was set up.
That's the way what?
That's the way the ordinance is broken down by adding that category, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Anyway, that's why that was in there. On delinquent collections, we're at 2%. We've stayed 2 to 3% throughout the year, so the total collections represented delinquency of 2%.
I think it's really encouraging to see strong growth in March. I know we were real nervous with this year, and probably still are with the recessionary type things that keep getting tossed around, but It's very encouraging.
When we get more into the, like, section number 9, we'll have to probably think about and discuss budget reallocation, but that will be when we get to that topic. So I'll leave that alone until we get there.
Yeah, we have that on the agenda. Any discussion of financials?
So the delinquency, so those are the status of the 9 businesses right now?
Correct.
Okay.
Of those 9 businesses, 6 have been notified. There has been one effort of a local business to start making payments to get caught up, and I'm still waiting on the contract approval from one. So it was really pretty good delinquency list as far as getting people to cooperate and start paying their taxes.
Well, Scott, I can tell you, number 6 is closed. They closed and moved out of, into Berryville.
Okay. But
Number 4 is closed, too.
Yeah.
If
number
they
4?
still owe taxes,
Yes,
then
Yeah.
we need to collect, right?
yeah.
So, but taxes from where? Because they weren't on the list last month.
These turned in on my list this month. Now, one of the, like, item number 6 on the delinquency list,
So is there a process of like business notifying? I guess you just need to find out their close date.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they left in January, right, Steve?
I couldn't say for sure, but I'm sure number 4 has been closed for a couple of months. I don't think they have any intention to reopen, is what I heard.
And I don't think there's a process with the city
Right.
clerk to just say, hey, we're closed. Because I know for website purposes, I've been calling businesses individually to see if
Yeah.
they are still open or closed. So I can provide that to the girls downstairs, or upstairs now.
Yeah.
So I don't think there is a process in place to notify the city clerk that the business is closing down.
I think you just contact them, find out close dates. Then you can look at your reports and see if they had a month or it's not collected or something. Yep. All right. Any other discussion of financials? Entertain a motion to approve?
Hang on, I'm looking for something. I did have a
Okay.
question on something that we didn't cover. Scott, looking at A5, under 6056, what is contract labor in-house?
that's where we will have to have additional help, such as in that instance there, we moved probably a 500 or 600 pound refrigeration unit up those stairs to put into the concession stand. So that's where we would hire people to come in and actually perform that service.
Okay. And then 6074, odd parking and permits.
That's where we have to rent parking for events from the city. And if you could get that free for us, would save us $828. They're expensive.
Interesting. And then under 6088, that one amount, does that include all of us that attended?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Yeah, and several of us didn't submit food and everything, mileage. We ate it.
Literally.
The humor's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the delinquency list.
Are we ready? Are you done, David?
Yes, sorry.
I make a motion, we submit the financials as reported for March.
Second.
A motion from Steve Holyfield to approve March financials, seconded by David Avanzino. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, majority has it. And Scott, do you want to get you down to for director report, and then we can segue into Michael's here for some Paradise info?
Probably the main thing since the last meeting 4 weeks ago was the fact that we've been working diligently to get the website Visit Eureka Springs up and going, been visiting with local businesses, updating photographs and helping them navigate the system. That's worked out really well. We're getting a lot of positive feedback from short reels of 10 to 15 seconds on the website. We're getting a lot more interaction through our social media because of that. I try to get local content as often as possible, let's say once every 3 to 5 days on Facebook to keep it active, so people will always see, something's going on in Eureka. We've got Folk Fest for November scheduled, I believe, or September. But that's been planned, and Nancy Paddock has got that under control, so that's pretty much planned out for now, which is way ahead of schedule. So we should reach quite a few more visitors in town because of the talent lineup she's got booked. It's really good. It's going to be here at the auditorium. Been training with Paradise on transitioning and with the websites. We finally have gotten access to our CAPC Facebook, Instagram, and our website. Been working with the Chamber of Commerce. We had a kind of an unusual welcome event out at the Eureka Springs Harley-Davidson, where we welcomed Adam Sandoval, who's a YouTuber that is traveling to all 120 Harley-Davidson dealerships. He's going to be in Milwaukee on the 120th anniversary date of Harley, and this was his first stop, so we were there and got to meet him and meet
Is that springtime in the Ozarks?
that was springtime in the Ozarks. Spring fling.
Spring fling.
Spring
Okay.
fling.
I
But
can't-
that was really successful and got to network with a lot of people, and now I think we're listed as one of his participants on that journey. We also have Melissa Etheridge coming on May the 5th. I've worked with the Transit Department. They will be providing 2 trolleys to transport people from Plainer Hill and trolley stop number 1 to the trolley depot, and then after the concert, we'll have the trolleys here to transport people back up to the parking so that they don't have to walk up the hill and can stay out of the road and not get run over that late at night. We've transitioned from cPanel to Microsoft 365. I've also obtained and purchased an ID scanner to check for legal age of consumption of alcohol in the auditorium. We had a NADA meeting this morning, went really well. I enjoyed that, and the networking of all the Northwest Arkansas tourism directors. And
What other meetings you've been to? I know you're at the chamber meeting.
Well,
You spoke there.
I've been to the Rotary Club with Dame, and also with the Heart of Eureka group twice, and also tourism conference, yes. There's about 5 or 6 meetings I've been to, quite a bit, networking with people. So it's been a busy 4 weeks, and then trying to keep the books up at the same time. So, but I've got a good staff, and they're really helping, and without them, I couldn't be pushing far ahead like I am now. So it's going well, doing good. And we also have a looking ahead to the fourth quarter. Really, I'm really focusing on the fourth quarter of this year, and I want to work out some events that will draw heavily on tourism for the last quarter of this year. Going that way, it'll take us on into the first quarter of 2024. So that's where we're at on our planning.
Is Michael on with us?
Yep. I am. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm at a disadvantage because for some reason I can't see you guys. I don't know if the camera's not on. which is okay, but it's always nice to see you guys.
I think we're being recorded.
You'd be, oh, so that way you can't see you guys.
I
Okay,
guess.
no worries, just wanted to make sure. All right. All right, so why don't we go through the monthly report? Oh, I can see you guys now. Good evening. All right, so I won't go through in detail page by page. You guys will have this, but I do want to give some highlights as we talk through things. So we'll
Can I-
talk quickly, just touch on the sales tax information. Obviously, that is fantastic news. We'll talk about some of the visitor insights, the advertising and marketing summary for March, public relations summary, paid media, organic, website, and then looking ahead.
Michael, before I forget, can you make sure this is posted to the website tomorrow?
Absolutely, you got
Okay,
it.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so I mean, obviously Scott took you through all this. This is really exciting news, and it's really exciting for us too because we want to know why that's happening and get some insights into that so we can continue to do the things we're doing. Obviously, the collections for the highest for March were exceptional, and it sounds like it was the best March sales tax collections in the last 10 years. So I think Scott touched on a really good point. The renewed focus on social media, both paid and organic, is producing results. It's promoting the concerts that's the odd. It's getting people to understand there's events to go to. We all know that there's the local tourism and then the out-of-state tourism. And there's a lot of initiatives to push getting local people to remember there's wonderful things to do in Eureka Springs and they should be enjoying those. So the efforts that Scott and Caitlin and Danielle are doing on the social side is absolutely fantastic. We're blown away by the work they're doing. But it's going to be important that we continue to provide the internally produced social media posts and the Paradise produced social media posts because our lens is a little different than the local market, obviously. We're thinking about how do you get, those heads in beds? How do we get people from coming out of state? So right now we have this wonderful marriage of all the great content that's locally produced that the CAPC is doing internally, and then Paradise is using information from that on how those posts are doing, and then figuring out how to best use that from the paid social standpoint or just additional social posts to make sure that we're attracting those out-of-state visitors. So right now this is working really well, and I can only imagine it's going to get stronger. I mean, literally your staff has only been on the books for what, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. And we've already developed a really wonderful working relationship with them. As Scott mentioned, we were able to do a training a couple weeks ago on WordPress. We did actually another mini training a couple days ago where they had some questions, so we've made ourselves available at any time to answer any questions. And so far, the submissions that are coming through, we're checking on our side too because we get the notification as well. But it seems like CAPC is able to address those quickly, get those submissions uploaded or changed, or changed if they're just revisions, and that's working really well. And I think that over the last couple months, really to echo what Scott said, was that I really believe that Paradise and CAPC has developed a strong and very productive partnership. And I know it's easy for me to say that. Of course, I almost have to say that, but I really do mean that. I think that we came into this year, there was a lot of questions, how we're going to work together. There's a lot of new staff, a lot of new ways of working. I think that with Chris coming on board, being kind of the steward, Scott taking over the leadership position, with Danielle and Caitlin bringing their expertise, we're in a whole different world than we were a year ago. I mean, it's literally night and day. And I'm not being disparaging about anything. I'm just saying that all things can be improved, and I think right now we have all the chess pieces on the board to continue to do great things as we work together. So that's completely heartfelt. I'm just so happy that we've gotten to a place where I feel like we're just working so well as a team. So that makes me incredibly happy. Okay, so visitor insights. This is fun. All right, now you gotta remember our insights come from Zyartico and other data, right? So we're not, this is the things we can see are the things that are reported to us. So if you look at visitor volume for March, it actually was slightly lower than if you compared it to March 2022. So you might be thinking, well, how can that be? How are we getting these great numbers? Well, I'm just going to drop down to this bullet because the average visitor spend in March increased from 107 to 129. What that means is we're attracting the right type of visitors. I mean, having a volume of visitors is great, but we don't want to put strain on the community. So in a perfect world, is what you want is less visitors, ironically enough, that spend more money. right? Because then we can make sure they have a wonderful experience when they're in market. So that's kind of the holy grail. If you can do that, if you can be making more tax collections off of, you know, not overwhelming the community and the services and the parking frustrations and all the things that happen when too many people come to a market that aren't spending money, this is what we want. Now, again, we're always going to want lots of people coming because that's going to help you with infrastructure and be able to make the case to, you know, develop more parking and all that type of stuff. But this type of insight is really helpful for us because we know that the way that Cindy and her team have done the media targeting, we're seeing results because that increase is really significant, and that's very exciting for us. I'll go back up to the top. 64% of observed visitors stayed overnight, and 80% came from out of state. Springfield was a market of note as it held the #1 top visitor market from February. Average visitor spend we talked about, and we're taking a deeper look into visitor spending data. Retail and food were top categories for visitor spend in March 2023. Retail also saw a 22 increase in average visitor per visitor when compared to the previous year. Again, that's really important for us to know because that means people are coming to shop. And we're developing messaging in the market, especially as we get closer to the holiday time, that's going to really take advantage and try to drive people from maybe some of the bigger markets to come over to Eureka Springs because our shopping experience is just different. It's got a different feel to it than some of our neighboring communities. And we want to be able to continue to do that with social media, whether that's paid or organic, or of course, through our advertising. I won't spend too much time on this. A lot of this hasn't changed too much. It's fairly consistent from what we've been seeing. Accommodations and transportation are obviously going to be your highest spending visitor category, especially from the article insights because they're tracking credit cards and things like that. So that's always going to pop to the top. DMA spending by merchant category. So you can take, you guys can look at this more closely. And of course, send me, any questions you have. But Little Rock, Pine Bluff, this kind of breaks out where that demographic we can see because of their spending, credit card spending, we can see where they're spending their money. So it's interesting to look at. Again, this is the one I would print out if I was there and stick it on the wall. I mean, 107 to 129 is great. That means we're getting the right type of visitors to come. That's really good news for us, and we want to continue doing that. All right, so just a quick overview of what we did in March. We finalized the media and creative estimates for the fulfillment of the spring media campaign, so that was all done. We worked with all the approvals for those estimates. The new site launched on 3/20. Obviously, we had some refinements and things we had to do. Of course, what happens when you launch a website is always the case, but I think we all worked really well in partnership to make those changes as quickly as possible and to try to implement as many of the ideas as you guys have. Now, I fully expect that we'll probably want to get together in a couple months, and as we've all had a chance to sit with the website and you've been able to hear from your community members, if there's things that are on there that somebody feels is missing, we want to hear that. We want to make sure that we schedule a phase 2 for the website, figure out what kind of a budget that will take to make that happen, and put that on the books. Or it could just be minor tweaks for now. We're going to let it run for a while. But again, we're always here to address if there's if we're seeing a groundswell around a few things on the website that we actually want to spend time against. We're here to do that for you. And then the rest of this is just the monthly management and things we do for you guys. Public relations summary. Again, we continue to pitch outdoor opportunities to publications. We're working on the 2024 eclipse. Obviously, we know that you guys, I'm sure some of the hoteliers are already getting bookings for that. That is, you guys are in the prime location right where the eclipse is going to happen. It's going to be a massive event for that part of the country, and you guys are lucky enough to be right in the middle of it. So we want to work with you to make sure that we're giving everyone the best experience. And some of that can just be, we need to probably think about when we turn off the advertising about the eclipse, because what will happen is if the hotels are full, you're going to get a lot of people calling, a lot of people disappointed. So there's no sense in wasting money driving people to the hotels if they end up being full. I'm not saying that's going to happen tomorrow, but those are the types of things when you have an event this big that you want to think about, because we want to make sure everyone has a great experience with what we're doing, and we want to make sure we're spending our marketing dollars smart, because if we're already full, we don't want to spend marketing money trying to get people to come to the eclipse and just be disappointed when they can't get a room. So we're going to be thinking about that as a bigger plan as we think about 2024, which I think it's in April, so it's about a year away, which is pretty exciting. Some of the public relations from MuckGraph, which is what tracks the placements we do. This is some of the great numbers we've had in estimated media values that MuckGraph does for us. Some things in BuzzFeed, the World Atlas. Paid media results. Okay, the spring campaign continued with paid social boosts as part of that. So we had impressions around 800,000. Impressions, clicks around 3,000 with a click-through rate of 35%. That's great. That's more than 3 times the industry benchmark average. That is good. We want to continue to build on that. We're going to work with the CAPC internal social team to see what results they're getting. We'll share, of course, the analytics we see from the paid side to help them inform what they should be maybe looking at, even from a local standpoint. This is where the synergy is nice. You guys have access to local content. We've got more metrics than you guys have. We can share those together, find ways to use that content in the most, if something's working really well on the organic side, let's find a way to get that into the paid side, and we can work together to do that. And the video completion rate was 85%, which is above that 70% for an industry average, so that's great. I won't go through all this, but this is just the vendors we use. Paid media for Expedia and Vrbo. This gives you a sense, and again, there's a lot to read, but 44 room nights were booked, $5,800 in gross bookings were generated from the advertising we saw from there, and advertising for March delivered a 0.09 return on advertising spend. Some of the sample ads that were in there. Facebook and Instagram, over 1.5 million, almost 1.5 million impressions. Engagement was 123,000. Click-throughs, clicks 8,000, and then your click-through rate is well above industry average. So kudos to the content and the things you have going on in market. We're just going to continue doing more and more and more of this, like Scott said, because this is working and this is doing really well. So this was one of your top performing boosted ads, which was the looking for live music and drinks, head down to the Wonder Room. So that did really well. That was a video, obviously. So. Paid search, obviously, incredibly important to us to have, be always paying attention to. That's a lot of people are finding us. Impressions, 5,000. Total clicks, 1,500. Click-through rate, 29.48. Industry benchmark is 4%. I mean, that's great. Cost per click is 53 cents. Industry benchmark is 1.54. So that's a great value for the clicks we're getting. Just a quick overview on some of the Google paid search, top performing keywords, places to visit Eureka Springs events, visit Eureka Springs, Arkansas events, Arkansas places to visit, Eureka Springs attractions, events, and Eureka Springs in April. People are planning ahead. And again, this is all March, so people are planning ahead for April. Paid media with mobile Fuse served over almost 2,500 impressions, clicks, it's around 2,400, and another great click-through rate of 0.71%. And here's some of the sample ads we did in there. And again, this was, and again, kudos to Chris early on, really talking about, trying to, with the economic uncertainty we were facing, especially a month ago. I think it's getting better now, but a month ago we were in a different situation. This idea about focusing some of the advertising on value, I think, is really paying off. I think that's why we're getting some great results. It works well as a small space banner ad. A curiously good time, a curiously good value. People are clicking on that. They want to, they're nervous about their spending. They want to get out with the family. They want to get out as couples, whatever it is. They're clicking on the banner going, I know there's great stuff in Eureka Springs. Tell me more. And they're clicking on that and we're getting them. So, and we're going to continue to do a mix. We don't want Eureka Springs to be 100% all about value. That's not healthy for the destination. But a mix of that is fantastic. And the more we learn, the more we can target the media to say, okay, this value message really works better in this pod of ad serving we're doing. And we're learning as we go, so we're going to just keep refining as we go through this. Paid media strategies. This is for the streaming campaigns, so over 239 of the videos served, click-through rates of 377, and 0.16%, which is above the industry benchmark. Organic social, again, we continue to do that for you, and it's really going to be important that we continue that in the future. We need to have both sides of the house, because what will happen is that we won't have the learnings from what we're doing on the out-of-town market to complement what all the great stuff that Scott and the team are doing in market. I won't go through all these, but this is, it shows growth in where we were. In March, there was an increase in both followers and engagement. This was due to the paid social campaign and the existing content mix on the pages. There were also some decreases in reach and awareness and impression. This was due to the delay of approvals of calendars. The social team has rescheduled an all overflow content from March calendar in April. And some of that was we were just getting up to speed with working with all the new people. And so we didn't get as many posts up at the beginning, but we've rectified that now, and moving forward, we are in good shape. Instagram is very similar. You guys can take a look at that as you go. Top Facebook posts, again, I won't go through all these, but these are the ones that stood out. I always look at the engagement as a really good sign. That means people are clicking on it, sharing it, commenting, doing things like that. Instagram posts, same thing. These are just two examples of some of the best performance ones we had. Twitter. Website summary. The number of users increased from February to March with the launch of the new website and also the paid spring campaign. There was a slight increase in bounce rate, which is expected with a brand new site coming out just because things are redirecting. It takes a little while for everything to populate. Organic search was the primary driver for website visitation in March, followed by direct traffic and social media respectively. The most viewed pages in March, excluding the home page, continue to be attractions, things to do, lodging, that's a great one, dining, and event calendar. Top states for visitation from the website was Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Illinois, respectively, which are all reflected in the top states in the last several months. And the agency will work closely to monitor shifting trends. This is an eye chart for you guys, I'm sure, so I won't go through it, but this is, really, really important information to take a look at. And remember, we launched towards the end of the month, so I really think that for the website analytics, I'd rather wait till the April report to really kind of dig into this. I think it's not going to give us that many insights because it launched at the end of the month, so it's better to wait a little bit on that. But it is here, and we can reference this when we think about when we go back from the next month. Gives you a sense where people are going through. This article can track where people are going. Navigation obviously is going to be the first one, but logistics and planning. Again, this is where itineraries and stories and reels and inspiration, these are the things that are going to be helpful. And again, the inspiration for somebody that lives down the street from an event is much different than the inspiration of someone who has to get in a car and go to an event. So we need to continually thinking about both sides of the house when we do our marketing. So that's some information there. Here's just some raw data if you really want to get into it as far as where people are going, but that's pretty standard, I would think. And then next steps, we presented a media strategy for summer, fall, winter. When that is approved, we can go ahead and start working on the buys on the summer and the fall, winter campaigns. Again, one of the things we talked about last year, which we took to heart, is that we wanted to make sure we were planning way ahead of time. So one, we can make sure we have the assets we need to develop really strong content to pay off the media plan, allow your partners to participate in some of those activities. So it being April, we've already presented a fall and winter marketing strategy, media strategy. Which we will then build the marketing plan around. So we listened to what you guys had said and listened to some of the frustrations, and we are well ahead of that now. Spring media, we're going to continue monitoring that and provide the results of that in May. Website development, again, I mentioned we did that great training session for an hour or so where we were able to bring everybody up to speed on WordPress. We had another meeting the other day, and Danielle and Caitlin know that I am a phone call away 24/7 if something comes up, and I will do my best to help them out with that or get the appropriate person on the call. And we'll continue to monitor Zardico. So again, I think the highlight here is we're hitting the right people that are coming to the destination based on the data that we can see. The average revenue is up a significant amount. We're very excited about that. What we're doing is working. Is there room for refinement? Absolutely. We'll be talking about refinement until we're all gone. But this is important for us to get this information and to work. And again, the partnership between the two organizations, I think, is just really going well. I'm really happy about it. And if you guys have any questions, I can answer them. Or if you want to take more time to look at the report, absolutely email me or talk. I guess you can funnel everything through Chris or Scott, and they can get it over to me, and I can get back with answers to anything.
So quick question, Michael. Has Scott and the staff been provided copies of this presentation?
Yes.
Because it's very hard for us to read it and actually see the numbers that you presented.
I figured that's why I mentioned that you guys will have a chance to actually look at this offline. Excuse me, and then get back to us with any questions you have.
Okay.
And
thank you.
that's what I was asking to have posted on the website.
Yep.
So it
Absolutely.
should be on there tomorrow.
And again, every destination is different. I mean, you guys can talk amongst yourselves. If you would like this to make sure it's delivered to you guys before we have this presentation so you can come to the meeting with questions, that we can do that too. Every destination is different. Some destinations don't prefer to do that, so it's up to you guys.
I would love to have that information
I like
ahead of
it ahead of
time.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll
Scott can
when
get,
this-
or the staff can get it out to all of us. Yeah.
I'll
That's
just
no
make sure
problem.
it's delivered, a week ahead of time, well, before I promise that, let me actually talk to people that will tell me if I'm right or wrong. But we'll get that ahead of time so that you guys may have some time to look at it before you get it.
Okay,
Thank you, Michael.
No problem.
thank
All
you.
right.
Great. You're welcome, guys. Thank you,
Have a
guys.
good evening.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, do you need me anymore, or do you want me to jump off?
I don't think so. You can have dinner now. It's,
I gotta go have my burger.
it's late.
Yeah, no, but I don't mind. But thank you guys again.
Thank you.
And have a
Thank you.
wonderful evening. Thanks, guys.
He's an hour ahead of us. Poor guy. All right. Public comments. Do we have any public comments?
To the crowd.
All eyes are on you.
Everyone look at Sam.
Well, we do have it on the agenda. If
Okay,
might be better to just,
it's up to you guys.
yeah, for the Basin Park stuff. That would, what do you, yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Is that next up on the list?
Not quite.
Although, or we can go ahead.
We can go ahead.
We can go ahead and do it now, so you don't have to
Okay.
wait.
Are we going
How about that?
skip to new business? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Sam's prepared to talk more about Basin Park. You've probably seen emails, I think, Mayor.
9E on the agenda. Was it?
It was
Basin Park?
E,
So-
Basin Park study.
I guess the reason I'm asking, because I wanted to add something to the agenda. Does that need
Okay.
to happen before he speaks?
I mean, we're still gonna,
Okay.
you'll still have opportunity.
Yes, hi, so are we on Basin Park, I guess, now? Okay,
Sure.
great. So Scott texted me today around 2 PM and asked me if I could come to the meeting tonight, so sorry if this is not exactly super prepared, but he wanted to just have me give you guys some notes on Basin Park and what's going on there. I expressed in an email a couple weeks ago to Scott and the mayor, like, it's just such a integral part of Eureka, and, as the Parks Department, we are responsible for the upkeep. However, there are things happening at Basin Park that are beyond our scope financially and, just professionally in terms of engineering and architecture and things like that. Should have printed copies, but basically, September 8th, 2011, we had McClellan Engineering Consultants come and do an evaluation on Basin Park, and I'll just read a couple excerpts. This was dated September 8th, 2011. The concrete surface of the Basin Spring Park has some significant settlement around the east, north, and south side of the fountain and the south central area of the park, so basically everywhere. The mortared limestone rock sections are not in imminent danger of failure, considering that this park was constructed over 110 years ago. However, the overall limestone rock structure will need major repairs within the next 10 to 20 years to maintain the character and integrity of the park, the spring, the channels, and the fountain. So the whole park,
And we're almost 12
Yeah.
years later.
Yeah.
Now we're sitting
Yeah.
12 years later, right in the middle of that 10 to 20-year period, and I'm sure all of you frequent Basin Park enough to see the issue at the fountain especially. The fountain is just a microcosm of what's happening underneath as a whole. You know, it's sinking, and we need to do something about it. So Scott Miskell, our previous director, had gotten back with McClellan and initiated another contract with them to do just a basic run-through of the park and assessment of, you know, our cultural, I guess like a cultural site history, if that's what you want to call it, survey of existing conditions. And right now, we just sent printed and sent the check today for the second payment of that, which was task number 2, survey of existing conditions. These things are not cheap. It was well over $10,000 for that alone. And then the next one is the exciting one, because that's when they're actually going to give us the treatment and analysis and, you know, kind of give us a plan of what they think needs to happen.
So you just paid 10,000?
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, I'm like,
Yeah.
sinuses, I'm just like, so I'm a little foggy here, but we just paid another 10,000, and the total contract is for 49,000, it looks like, and we are, after that check, we'll still have 16 remaining, so we paid a good chunk of this already, but ooh, it hurts watching those checks leave the door. So I sent a message once again to Scott and the mayor asking if you guys would be willing to look at any kind of financial assistance. I know CAPC utilizes the park a lot for events, and it's just such a important piece of Eureka. So
basically, you're already committed to a study.
yes, yeah, and we
then-
haven't really seen much from the study because we just haven't gotten to that end phase yet where they're actually going to show us what needs to be
But
done.
then from there, that gives the scope of work needed and
Yes,
everything?
yeah, they'll go see, and they've done bore samples where, I believe that's the right terminology for that, right? Where they drill in and take core samples from the earth underneath. And I mean, I'm not an engineer, so I looked at it, but I couldn't tell you anything about that, but it doesn't look good.
Does that get us to the point where where the city or whoever can get bids to perform the work?
Yes, I believe after task number 3, analysis and evaluation, we will be at a point where we can kind of put that out. I mean, obviously McClellan has sort of a step up on other firms because they're the ones who just did the analysis. That doesn't mean we have to use them, but they'll be providing a treatment that they will have procured themselves, so they'll kind of know what needs to be done, as opposed to another firm would be taking their information and, you know,
Okay.
so, but yeah, it's all daunting and scary, and it's just a big amount of money, and you just imagine, obviously the cost of doing nothing is greater than the cost of doing something, but it's still expensive regardless, so, yeah. It's basically just a report on Basin, hoping.
So I'm the only one asking questions.
Oh, you're good, yeah.
So on this next step, how long does that take? And then the third step, how long does that take?
I need to look a little closer. I'm not exactly sure. End of summer. Okay, yeah, so.
So it
next
could
3
all be
months.
wrapped up into summer potentially, is that?
Yes, this part of the contract, yeah, this particular analysis, but
just
they're not
the
really
second
doing
part.
any, you know, then there comes the big monster, you know. This is just the analysis and like a suggested treatment.
Oh, no, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So the
Yeah, that'd be
study,
summer, yeah.
and you're paying 10,000, and then, I'm just trying to understand, is that like a second step, and then they do another step?
So
for
this is all
16?
just, this whole thing that we're doing now is just phased out so that we're not paying, you know, the whole thing all
Right.
once, but also it gives them time to, you know, research and, you know, kind of gather their resources and do the study.
And that covers the park and
Mm-hmm.
the band shell? Or is it just the park?
And it should cover the band shell as well, yeah. So it's, you know, all cultural assets or, you know, public assets of the park. So it'll encompass everything. it's not going to do anything, it's just going to tell us what's wrong. But sometimes you got to
It
pay
needs to be
to,
fixed.
you know, what's wrong. So
So how many items are left on that
it's just,
spreadsheet? Or how many phases?
just one.
Just one
Yeah,
left?
we've just paid, just sent the check today, so it's not paid officially, but.
And the final phase is what?
16.
16,000, and it's
No, I mean,
basically.
what does it
It's
include?
treatment. It's, you know, suggested treatments for the
Suggested
problems, yeah,
Okay.
that we face.
'Cause
Like I
I'm-
said, I could get a little more brushed up on all this, and
Yeah, and that's fine.
if you guys have more questions.
But it is going to be, it's certainly within our purview to allocate funds to the park and the band shell. As far as the city side is concerned, we'd have to take that to city council.
How
So
many-
You're just asking us right now to think about helping paying for the study,
Planting that seed, yeah.
plant the seed, okay?
Planting the seed
You have no idea how much it's going to cost total until the study's done, right?
until the study is done. I mean, if you guys would even be willing to help with the study, but of course you didn't sign that contract, but when the time comes to get the big bill, we would love it if we could work together on that, yeah, as a city. It will take a city effort to fix something that big.
So I guess the next step is the request this amount from us to see if we can get it approved through city council.
Yeah, I believe so. Once we would, you know, get a quote from McClellan for total cost, we would forward that to
Study.
everyone, the whole city, you know, obviously all the city entities, but, yeah, we would know more about how much it's going to take.
And this company can actually do the construction and everything that needs to be done
I'm sure
to
there'd be,
fix it?
yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of it would be subcontracted out, but yes, they would be in charge of doing the actual work on the ground, so,
Okay. And your last check amount is, you said 16,000
yes.
for the final phase?
Approx 16, it's not, yeah, for the final phase of that.
Scott, how much do we have set aside that's in savings? It's not allocated for operations or anything?
We've got a reserve account with hold on, I'll tell you exactly. We have a reserve account with $284,122.24 at March 31st.
That's the reserve account, but isn't there even more money above what we use for the operating budget?
This commission has never taken surplus at the end of the year and moved it out of our operating account. Now, 2 years ago, we ended the budget year with a surplus of $523,000, I believe. And then, I don't recall what last year was, but, so you probably have $800,000, $900,000 that's surplus,
Right.
if I had to guess a number.
May I interrupt and say, that's like the coolest tie I've ever seen, Scott.
Award for you.
After he tells you how much money we have.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Really?
Great timing.
Hey, wink, 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 wink.
Help.
Right. I'd like to leave you guys with these, and I can reproduce more of them or get emails to you guys so you can look over.
I'm just curious, you're saying that this isn't just a surface issue
Oh,
to
no,
fix,
it's
this is a below
underneath.
surface, they
Yeah,
gotta
it's-
resupport.
Yeah, that's why they did those bore drill samples where they
Got it.
went
So
in
they
there and
go
actually.
underneath the earth and they okay.
Yeah, it was serious. I don't know if you guys remember when they had Basin Park closed for a little while, you know, last year, I believe, early spring. They went in there, actually had this giant machine, and they drilled through and took samples, so it's,
Wow.
it's a legit thing.
Like a sinkhole, is this what the?
Yeah, I mean, if you look in the fountain underneath, I mean, it's hollowed out in there. I mean, there's space to
wow.
walk around, so that's why it's sinking.
Yeah, that ain't good.
It's not good.
Is it fair to say y'all don't have the budget to do this?
Oh, absolutely not.
So,
If we cut all of our expenses, all of our staff and everything else, we might be able to pay for it. But obviously, that's not going to happen, so.
And you do not have an exact amount for that final phase, right?
No, I do not.
It's
We have
approximately-
approximations of about $500,000 for total of all Basin Spring.
No, I'm
Park.
talking about what you're reading. You said final phase, the final check was 16,000?
For the
Yes,
study.
yes. That would be approx 16. I'd have to go in and,
And we have the money, if the commission wanted to help with the study, if that, it's an option.
It has to go before the city council?
I don't believe so.
No.
Okay.
It's within the CAPC's
We're
purview.
tourism, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
we can actually buy land
Yeah.
and build a park on it, so.
It's definitely tourism related. I mean, we put bands in the park. We do a lot over there. And it, just my opinion, it seems to be one of the most critical pieces
Right. The centerpiece. of
downtown
town.
besides the auditorium for us.
So we just need a
Is that true, Scott? Yeah, okay.
presented amount, the exact amount that you're requesting from us? I mean, around 16,000 is,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
seems like an open check, you know? It's
Yeah,
like-
yeah. Don't give me a blank check or
That's
anything.
right.
But yeah, that would be, if you guys want a more exact amount, I can get that to Scott and he can forward it to you, but.
Probably the official estimate or invoice from
Yes, yeah.
would be perfect.
I can email McClellan tomorrow and ask, exactly, just a invoice for the last phase, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when do you need to pay this?
The last one, I mean, we just sent a check for the second phase, so we're not, we're a ways away from needing to pay for the final one, but
Okay, so we can, our next meeting, we won't have another meeting for a month to vote on stuff, so our next meeting will be okay then?
oh yeah.
Wait, can I see what you're looking at real quick?
Yes.
As far as the payments and all that kind of stuff?
It's all, this is the previous, and you guys can honestly keep that. I've actually forwarded that to Scott in the Dropbox, so. These are all things that he should have access to anyway. In there as well is a report that Scott Miskell wrote up. It's like 15 pages, and he went out and took photos and, did a evaluation on all the assets out there. So there's some interesting things, some things that are too sciencey for me to understand, but.
Cool.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I told you I'd get you paid today.
Yeah, we're in public comments.
Great. Damon Hinkey here, representing, I suppose, Rotary, but more just representing an idea. And the reason that I wanted to make a public comment was just to ask you guys to save a spot for the workshop. I will have my details done. But this is about Oktoberfest for Eureka Springs. A lot of people have talked about Oktoberfest, or talked about Eureka Springs being a great backdrop for Oktoberfest. And as you may know, Rotary has had a small Oktoberfest beer festival on Center Street in past years, really more pre-pandemic. It was quite crowded and small, and on a weekend that really overcrowded downtown. We're trying to engineer that so that maybe it's a little more profitable for the overall city by changing this out to be an Oktoberfest for Eureka Springs as a whole. That would, I talked to Scott a little bit about this, it would be more like CAPC hosts your Oktoberfest weekend with maybe a band in the park, and then these peripheral groups would put on actual events. So the beer garden would be across from New Delhi down on Main Street, and would include an actual beer tasting beer festival. So we would just call that the Oktoberfest Beer Garden. And New Delhi would have a stage. The other bars around town would have a stage. We're talking about a temporary entertainment district that would include Basin Park, and also include Cat House. It would kind of be a map of how to navigate Eureka Springs for Oktoberfest. Included in this, and I'll give you this full presentation at the workshop, but included in this would be basically an entire how to navigate from Friday to Sunday for a complete weekend that would include September 30th. Oh, this is what I was going to tell you. September 30th is actually an open weekend this particular year because Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue happens. There's a 5th weekend in September, and then October 1st happens, which is Corvette weekend. So we're dropping this on a weekend intentionally to try and benefit the town to bring more people in for that particular event. We would foresee this as an Oktoberfest that would carry on into perpetuity, and it would probably move into that second weekend of October in the future dates because that's a Hillberry Festival weekend. There's not necessarily anything specifically in town. So the idea, obviously, for a fundraising purpose, it'd be great to hold it on a time when there is a lot of travel in town. But for a community level event, we want it when it's maybe not as busy so that it justifies a little bit of spend on promotions and marketing. We're really just trying to make this a CAPC driven idea partially so that Scott can spend some money on additional restrooms so that the band in the park is actually sponsored by the CAPC. Other music venues, it would be like the old Blues Fest where you would have an actual agenda of the stages and the participating restaurants in town so that this whole thing accumulates together. The other obvious part is we have a place called the Barbarian Inn, which has authentic food that parallels an Oktoberfest well. So those are just tidbits of what I'm working on. By the time we get to workshop so that we can just kind of talk and you can ask me specific questions and we have a little more time, I will have that lined out with the temporary entertainment district designed on, drawn on a piece of paper so that you can see the overall picture of how this will go together. So thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Just a tidbit of information.
Thanks, Damon.
Thank you, Damon. David, did you have a motion for?
Yes, I would like to add to the agenda, are we at number 8? Okay. 2 items. One is to revoke the CAPC license for the Pearl Tapman House.
Okay. Do you want to make a motion to add that to the agenda?
Isn't that what I just?
Do you want to revoke their license?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. Well, I need to put it under new business first before I can make a motion. So we'll just,
Well, you can make the motion, then we'll have discussion.
okay. I'd like to make a motion to revoke the CAPC license for Pearl Tapman House.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by David Avanzino to revoke is it the Cat House?
No.
Pearl Tapman.
Pearl Tapman House.
CAPC license, and a second by Steve Holyfield. Okay, discussion.
So Scott, can you tell us how many times they've been on the list off the top of your head?
A year,
Okay.
How much?
at least a year. They've not reported.
And they're still taking guests and,
I don't know that.
okay.
I don't know. I'm not there. I don't know.
And you-
I mean,
So-
a year,
You've sent notifications, certified process, all the process. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay.
So this, just for my clarification, this is our procedure for applying this, we vote on it like this. I had been involved in this before, so, okay, cool.
So,
We don't have control over those. We have to request a business license. There is a process.
no, we're not asking for the removal of a business license. We're asking for a removal of their CAPC license. They're 2 separate things.
Tax permit.
They don't have to see a PC license. They apply for the tax.
you know what? I've read 2 different things in the bylaw type deals. I think we need to get clarification of the process, but obviously, I don't know that do you have does the city clerk issue a CAPC permit?
No.
Okay.
Comes from us,
Huh?
or from Scott.
You do? Okay.
Is their business
So what
license
does
current?
revoking the permit do for us? 'Cause I don't know, I'm curious.
I think we need to consult our A&P attorney.
Okay.
That's what before we discuss, that's my opinion, because
I mean, I think if we give them a permit, then we can pull it.
This
obviously,
permit
but-
was issued years ago.
Yeah.
They don't have a current one?
Pardon me?
They don't have a current business license, or do they?
Once you get a CAPC license, it's good until the owners change or the business is sold.
But you pay for a
Now-
license every year, don't you?
Business license.
Yes.
Now, one of my issues is if we have a business license, CAPC license issued to a business in town and they're delinquent on their taxes, why are they getting an annual business license from the city if they're delinquent on their taxes? That just never made sense to me. And that's more or less is what
That makes perfect
the nail
sense.
is with, that Mr. Avanzino's talking about. They shouldn't even be in business. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's kind of.
Would y'all be
I
okay
agree.
with Sandy?
Yeah, absolutely. Sandy,
Speaking
do you want
to
to come up,
this
since you have some knowledge
Yeah.
on this?
Give us some,
There is a process in state as well as the local ordinance, and the process goes to legal remedies first to shut them down, and then because doing away with the CAPC permit doesn't do anything but release them from taxes, and you don't want to do that.
okay.
What you want to do is make sure, and you have every legal right to pursue, even if a business is closed, to pursue those back taxes. So it's a legal path to go to it that could lead to losing their business license if they are defaulting on the tax, because it's
So-
required by state and local law.
So Scott, we're not even sure, because they're not reporting revenue, so we're not even sure that they're still open, correct? Okay. Yeah, please.
David Hickey here, I just did some quick research for you. There are available dates in July, and if it's on Airbnb. So if they book through Airbnb or have been booking through Airbnb, he would know that there was tax remissions because those come
Well,
in one big bulk.
Yeah, they would
type.
get from that, but any others they wouldn't.
They still have to file zero.
Yeah, they have
Oh,
to
yeah,
file
the
something.
report, that's what you're saying, yeah.
So we need to back out of
They
our
still need to
motion.
fire it.
We have a motion on the table, so we need to back out of it. I withdraw my second.
Yeah, I'll withdraw the motion with the understanding that Scott get to the bottom of this.
He's going to contact the
Yeah.
attorney. Yeah. Okay, so we have no motion. Okay. Thank you, David, for bringing that up. Do
You
have
had
another-
something else, David?
Yes, hey, one more thing. I'd like to make a motion to discuss the allocation of, let me back out of this first. Where did he go? Parks guy? He left.
Go ahead.
So in reading this, it says, task number 3 is what I understand that they're waiting on.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And it says not to exceed the price of $16,500. So I'd like to make, we can do this. I don't know if we need to split it with the city, how you guys want to do it. But we have the money, and I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to allocate $17,000 to parks for the final phase of the Basin Park study.
That'd be 17,000 or less if billed.
17,000 or less, because this, in the contract, it says not to exceed 16.5.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by David Avanzino to fund the third step of, I believe it's the engineering study for Basin Park, not to exceed 17,000. And then I have a second by Mark Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And majority has it. Okay.
I was going to ask Sam before he left, at any point does this render the Basin Park unsafe?
Yeah, that's what you worry about, is
I
that
mean,
it's shut down or
should-
At some
something.
point, it will.
Well, if we keep on the track that we're going now, because this study is from 2011.
Right.
And it says explicitly in here, it may last 10 to 12 years,
Yeah,
and we're
so
already
it's something we
there.
probably need to
We're there.
get on right away. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
worried about, because I've been hearing rumors, people have been even talking about they think it might be unsafe. So it probably needs to be done like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's awesome. Needs to be done, and
It's also on number 8, I like to, the agendas as they're posted, how soon are they posted? Are they
So-
posted online?
so I was out of town, I sent it Monday evening, unfortunately right after they had left. I sent it to them and Kim. And I said 48 hours, technically it was 48
And then
hours.
Kim posted on the website?
I don't know what she does.
It was on the website.
Oh, was it?
I saw it.
Okay. But I'll get it earlier in the day on Monday.
That's fine.
Can we go back?
It's getting better.
Can we go back to the 17,000? Will the commission allow me to set up a new expense account called intergovernmental support? And I have funds available I can move into that line, or do you want to wait till the next? That's up, just throwing it up there.
We need a motion.
To be on the safe side, I would say, yeah.
Mhm.
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and provide Scott the authority to move funds into an intergovernmental agency support fund. Okay.
Yes, sir. I've got funding available in account 6087. I can move 17 from that account and add a new account, intergovernmental support,
Okay.
and that will be earmarked for what we just passed.
Okay, so I have a motion from David Avanzino for Scott to allocate the 17,000 to a specific intergovernmental support account?
Intergovernmental support.
Yeah, I got it.
That'll be the name of the account.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Already said you now, so, and then Steve Holyfield seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, majority has it. Event budget reallocation, we've talked about this. This is that we are running out of money in that line item for funding requests. So we had talked about moving money. Scott, do you want to speak to this?
Under account 5067, marketing support, the 2023 budget was approved at $30,000. Based on the funding approval since January, we have $33,000 in that line item. So we're, at some point, we're going to have to move money from another account to balance out with the 33, but we also have $10,775 in new requests. So if you add the 10,775 to the 3, that's $13,775 that we will have to increase line 6067. That depends on the approval of the funding request that's in your packet, which totals $10,775.
Scott, are you, I'm looking at the information that was sent over. Are you referring to like A1, A2, A3?
In your, no, sir. The funding requests are in this packet here.
No, not the funding request, the,
Line item.
where you want to move it
Oh.
from and to.
I didn't say, I can move it from account 6079. That would drop that account from $40,000 to $26,225. And account 6057 would end up being $43,775 for the 2023 budget.
From, well, which account numbers? Are those in the auditorium?
6079. I can pull $13,775 from that account. We would go from $40,000 to to a total of $26,225 for
On
that line item.
A4.
You're back on the, okay, I'm on the wrong thing.
Did you say A4, Steve? Okay.
6079, it's on A4. Right, is that right?
I don't see that.
I'm looking at, I have a total budget.
Yeah, we're just looking at the,
I was trying to find it on the pages that you sent us today for today's meeting. Is it not there? The line items you're talking about?
No, they're on there.
It is?
but those are auditorium line items that aren't being used. Is that where you're coming from?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct, that's correct.
Better get closer.
I think, David, what I gave you was the January through March data. And when I got to looking at the budget, I noticed we were going to have to make some allocations. So I ran a report for January through December, so I would see the total amount for 2023, so I could look at my accounts and see where I'm spending money and I'm not. And I felt like those two accounts we've talked about for supporting the Basin Park study and also for marketing, we could pull from those two auditorium accounts and not deplete them, but we could use that funds up here on the support of parks and marketing support.
Do we have a motion to move money and,
I'm not sure if I could repeat that.
yeah, so what are the two account numbers? That's probably what
Okay.
we,
Yeah.
in the amount,
On account, we're going to move
from and then to.
accounts, we're going to move money from account 6079. We're going to take $13,775 from the $40,000 that was approved. We'll leave a balance of $26,225.
Can you just do like 15,000, make it even?
I can, but I'm an accountant. I deal with numbers, so
Yeah.
we can, but that's up to you guys.
From 6079 to what account?
It is going to go to 5067.
Or 067?
Okay.
That's it? I make a motion that we transfer $15,000 from account 6079 to account 5067.
That's it.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion from Steve Holyfield to transfer 15,000 from account 6079 to account 5067, and I'm second from David Avancino. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, majority has it.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, funding requests. Who do you have first? Sandy?
Hold on, let my mind pitch up.
Okay.
I see Sandy
I
Martin.
see Sandy first. Let's go, Sandy.
Since I'm staring at you.
Right?
I'm here on behalf of the Great Race application for it. Originally, we had come to you with an $11,000 ask, but since that time, we've been able to shave a lot of the costs down. Randy Wolfenberger has been able to secure a food purveyor to provide the food for the lunch. And just as a recap, which I should have started with, the Great Race comes through here on June 28th. And it's a major event and quite, from what I understand, a visual spectacle that's pretty cool. It's got a large purse against it. They have 120 vehicles registered for it. This is the first time it's come through Arkansas, which is important. There are 3 stops in Arkansas, and Eureka is one of them that they would like. The race director, the route director, was here in early March, and it's not really a parade, it's where they traverse through. Will not be on the traditional Spring Street because he's worried about time. It's time sensitive, that they have to keep up with the time to be able to win. So they're going to go up Main Street and then up Grand and then down Main Street and go up to the end of the Ozarks, where the luncheon will be down at the convention center. So what we're asking, we've got a couple of partners in the Northwest Arkansas Car Club as well as CC Riders, and they're going to help a lot with some staffing. But we do need to secure $2,500 for the city sponsorship, which gets our name plastered on it, and all the materials, and also gives us access to certain visuals that we would like to promote. It should be a very attractive photo opportunity, and we also get access to their email database list, which will be important for future car clubs that Eureka has. And
So we get access to that?
Yes.
Scott, or the staff will? Yeah.
yes,
Good.
you do. And so the two items we're asking for the $3,000 is $2,500 for the city sponsorship and $500 to print some decals that we want to give them to stick on their cars. That seems to be very popular, so those are the two requests.
So I have a question for you, Sandy. In their major public relations opportunity, it says that they arrive at 12 and leave at 4. So there's no heads in beds, there's no lodging, there's no...
Unfortunately, no. There isn't, because they're on a time-sensitive race, basically. However, we think we'll get some residual effects from it. We also will be, want to heavily promote this in the corridor, which there are like 2,500, I think, car club members down there that we're hoping will come up the night before or stay the night of. We can't guarantee anything because we don't know that. So I think it's safe to say that we're not predicting beds and heads, but there will be food probably, more than likely, and hopefully there will be some residual effects for lodging.
I know a guy that does this, and I can't remember. Do they have stops where they stay overnight?
No,
Yeah.
No.
It's a
They're
straight
like
through,
on
isn't it? Yeah.
trail type thing, yeah.
Okay.
I take that back. There is one, but it's not in Arkansas. It's in Missouri. I think it's in Joplin.
So maybe there's an opportunity that we can, in the future, be that,
Yeah.
lobby for it?
We didn't get ahead of their schedule.
Yeah.
They picked Eureka as one of the stops because the state
Yeah.
recommended it and said that it would be picturesque going through a historic town and all that stuff. So they wanted it for their promotion as well and future stuff.
And some of it, I mean, they're creating their own news cycle or whatever. I mean, they've got press following them, covering them, and so Eureka would benefit off of that.
Absolutely. Cool.
So do they do the same route every year, or is it a different route?
No, it's a totally different route.
So we may never see them again.
May not, but I think they will come back to Arkansas. They've been very impressed with the way Arkansas in general has handled it. So, they could start at a different western location and come through because we're ideally located for that. That's what we're hoping for anyway, because it's a big deal evidently. I didn't know anything about it, but evidently it's huge.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just a clarifying question, are we allowed to sponsor money for the decals?
Absolutely.
I don't know why not.
It's advertising.
Yeah.
I think it's advertising, yeah.
Scott, do you know off the top of your head?
I've talked to our attorney, and as long as it enhances the visitor's experience, then we can support it.
And does it have to have our logo on it,
That's
the
never-
decal?
I didn't say that. He didn't say that.
Because I know it has to be everywhere else. Sorry,
That's a
social
good point.
media.
I don't think it
banners.
does, David, but I can ask our attorney about it.
I've not read anything about our logo when it comes, we're promoting Eureka Springs tourism. It's a memento for Eureka Springs.
Right.
We don't have to, in that regard, for the money to be tied. I know where you're going, but like us, the staff is doing something, they need to use our logo and stuff, but.
And we invite your help on the design of it because, the whole idea is to promote Eureka Springs. And if there's a way to incorporate the logo in it and make it cool, that'd be great.
And how much are you asking for?
3,000.
3,000.
3,000.
Are we ready for motion?
Hey, I just have one more question. Sorry. Any idea what the decal is going to say? Is it going to say Eureka Springs, Arkansas? Is it going to,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It will definitely be a branded decal.
okay,
That's the whole point of the premium.
okay.
And we're open to suggestions for creative taglines, whatever it might be. We haven't even thought about that so far.
Okay. Yeah, because I noticed the event is June 28th, so
Right.
you may want to get on that with printers
Yeah.
and designers.
I move that we accept a funding request from the Eureka Springs Arts Council for $3,000.
What amount did you say, Steve?
$3,000.
You said three, okay. Second?
I have a motion from Steve Holyfield to fund Eureka Springs Art Council funding request for the Great Race, $3,000, and seconded by David Avancino. All in favor?
Aye.
So approved.
Thank you very much.
Majority rules. Okay, thank you. Jeff Danos?
I don't see him.
You haven't seen him? Okay. All right. Hiring committee report, I should have just put hiring CAPC director. I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I move that we enter the executive session for the sole purpose of discussing hiring the director of CAPC.
Second.
I have a motion from Steve Holyfield for entering executive session to discuss hiring a CAPC director, second by David Avancino. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from David Hollyfield to return from executive session for
David Holliday.
David Evanzino. I have a motion from David Evanzino to return from executive session for considering hiring CAPC director, second by Steve Holyfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have a majority. Okay, and
Let me back up just for, do we need to make a motion to adjourn from executive session?
to return from executive session. That's, okay. To return and/or adjourn.
I just want to make sure that we're
Okay.
doing it correctly.
No, we keep getting in trouble.
I don't know what, go ahead, let's do it. Let's make it.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn from executive session.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from David Evanzino to adjourn from executive session, and I have a second from Steve Holyfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do we have a motion from,
Make a motion?
Mhm.
I move that we hire Scott Barden as executive director of the CAPC for a salary, state salary of $80,000 a year.
A second?
a second from Mark? Okay. I have a motion from Steve Holyfield to hire Scott Barden as the CAPC director with a salary of $80,000, seconded by Mark Hicks. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we have 4 ayes, and that has it. Congratulations.
That's exciting. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm sorry. I've been interim finance director. I've been interim tourism director. Now I am director.
No, you're going to have to do both. Now, wait a
I
minute.
can do
wait a
both. I'll do
minute.
it.
No,
No
I'm kidding.
problem. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I don't think we have the bylaws. Do
No,
we?
you don't.
Do we?
I brought mine.
You brought yours?
We don't have the full version,
Yeah.
or at least I don't.
Or we will, yeah. So we've had a couple of meetings now, we've had them, and everyone's read them. Do we have
That's good.
more discussion on them? We want to make a motion on them to get them official, or?
Has there been a set of bylaws voted on before?
We think these were, I was told they were. I want to make it official and us publish them, so I know for sure.
Because the only thing that I've seen are the papers with amendments.
Like the ordinance and the
Correct.
law, yeah. And so this lists out the actual law and the ordinance.
Okay.
So I have a set of bylaws. City of Eureka Springs Advertising Promotion Commission, the final bylaws. That's the one you read before, right? So these would be in addition to those? Or this
Not
would
sure.
be? Is that what you're doing?
So now I've seen, all I know is this was what the previous commission, and I got them from Carol Wright, that they had approved. So my question was, they aren't published, and I didn't see them signed anywhere, that they had made a motion and passed them. And we can go back and look at the videos to try to find it. But I was just trying to
I mean, I'd
clean
actually
it
like
up.
to see the bylaws before I vote on any amendments.
I've given them to you twice.
Not the full set.
This will build a full set?
So let's, okay, the next workshop, we're going to spend a deep dive into all this.
Perfect.
Okay? I think I said that at the last meeting. Okay. Have any other? I think that's wraps up. We've already done Basin Park, Paradise Invoices. We need to do that. Scott had sent us out all the Paradise Invoices a week ago or so. So I mean, I glanced through them, but
Yeah, I'm gonna pay 'em.
that's where we rely on, or I would rely on you to make sure that it's correct, even more so.
I keep an Excel spreadsheet on most,
Yeah.
everything we do, but I keep an Excel spreadsheet on Paradise invoices.
And so Paradise has also started kind of a tracker where, for Scott's sake, instead of just bombarding him with a whole bunch of invoices, it lines up with the budget items and shows exactly, like subtracts from it and makes it all nice and neat to be able to make sure it's within the budget that we had approved.
So you need something for us about that?
So, I mean, technically, we had he's now the director. Before, we had said that while we had an interim director, we had to, the commission had to approve all the invoices. So I guess technically, we don't have to.
Okay.
He's now the director.
I guess,
Doing it
Scott, my concern is that there are 18 invoices?
Yes, sir. This is, we've paid only, since I've been here, there was only one invoice to Paradise paid, and I think my memory's right, it was like $827 or something. It was less than 1,000. That was the only one that's been approved. Then these are all invoices that have been received since that time that are true invoices, not estimates, that are basically retainers. If you look on the project column, it says, it'll list the month, and what they're doing is billing us by month for those specific services.
They really break it. They don't do like a general invoice or, and then itemize. They do like a whole bunch of different invoices for all the different things.
And I scan all of this and keep it on digitized form so that if we ever have to go back, we don't have to search for the paper unless
I
you
mean,
want to.
I guess the nice part is it's really itemized. It's very thorough, so you can go down to the very granular level instead of just one overall invoice of 30,000 and for this services. I mean, it's really broken down. So, I don't think we have any business in now that we have a director who can make those decisions. Commissioner comments? Mark?
I'm good, thank you.
You are good. You're great, Mark. Thank you.
No, you're all great. We're all great.
All right.
Steve?
I'd like to urge the community to apply for our open position and see if we can get our commission to full pace, because you never know when things happen and people can't be here and they need a quorum for business. And then especially so we only meet once a month, it could really delay stuff if we don't have a quorum. So please apply. But it needs to be a manager or owner of a restaurant or a lodging, right?
That operates inside city limits.
Inside the
and,
city.
and lives in the county. And to Steve's point, Jeff Carter resigned today, and we want to thank Jeff for his service and time, 3 years, I believe, of serving on the commission, and thank him for that. And Chris?
Just congratulations to Scott, he's doing an awesome job.
Thank you
Forward
very
more.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just want to echo what Steve says. We now have 2 positions open on CAPC. And I think, for clarification, it's restaurant, bar, or lodging. It's not just restaurant or lodging,
I
correct?
think it's restaurant lodging. I was reading that today. Now, I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but
I haven't seen bar anywhere, but
it's restaurant
we
lodging.
can get,
Isn't it a law in Arkansas that all bars have to serve food? So it's not,
so they're considered,
are they considered restaurants too?
So I would contact the attorney and get us a formal.
Just curious, because I know that there are several people who run bars that are interested. And I just want to send a thank you to all of the service workers in the city for a very successful weekend. It was very, very busy. Lots of people, lots of motorcycles, lots of hard work, lots of double shifts. So thank you for what you do. Scott, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. David.
I
Thank you.
think you know that we have your back, and we'll ask a lot of questions, and sometimes they'll be uncomfortable, but it's part of the job.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion from Steve Holyfield to adjourn, second from David Avanzino. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.